Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am excited to welcome a very special guest, Jay Thakkar. Jay is a prominent expert in the field of artificial intelligence and a highly regarded Google developer expert. Jay has built an extraordinary career as an AI researcher, community leader, and educator. He has worked extensively on generative AI, NLP, and many more technologies. Beyond his research, Jay has trained over 3,000 plus developers as the community lead for TensorFlow user group Surat, exemplifying the power of collaboration and community building in advancing AI. So today we will delve into the Jay's inspiring journey in AI, and we will also explore his thoughts on the future of AI and role of community driven innovation in shaping technology. But before we start, I would like to thank Jay for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
I am Jay Thakkar, obviously you introduced me, and I belong to a place named Surat, Gujarat. And I was into engineering field. Like I decided that I'll be an engineer in my fifth standard. Like I never liked medical, so like that was the only option. I didn't wanted to go to commerce. Like it was finalized that I'll go to science, and then I had two options: engineering or doctor. And then I went through some of the medicine names, and I'm like, no, this is not what I want to do. And I went to engineering. I completed my 11th, 12th in science only, and then I went to a university named PP Sawan University, which was newly built in Surat, but it had a very good name. And in 2020, there was a very good disease named Corona. So we had to do something from Surat only. Like I had to do something from Surat. I was unable to move out of Surat. So I did my bachelor's from there, and currently I'm pursuing my master's from Symbiosis. Symbiosis is a university in Pune, so like SIT Pune. And my both bachelor's and master's belong to AI and ML. And I'm also a Google developer expert in machine learning. I have like very good content and very I have taught many developers and students on machine learning and generative AI.
Okay, so you just mentioned that in fifth standard you decided you are going to do
Yeah.
engineering. So what were those
Yep.
initial things that sparked your interest into engineering field?
So there is a tech fest in SVNIT, Sardar Vallabh Institute of Technology, SVNIT Surat. So
Mhm.
there it was a robotics workshop, and they were trying to make a remote control car, but it was totally mechanical and electronics. Like if a signal goes from one point to another, left wheel moves. If it goes from left this move to that, then right wheel moves and all, right wheel moves and all that. And I was like, I want to make it like wireless. I don't want wires involved in this. And then that guy told me that for that you need to learn C language. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, C language. Okay. Then it went to sixth standard, and like in sixth standard vacation, I joined. There was a institute named Sun Info System. Now it's closed, but there was a system there. The classes were there, and I learned C and Photoshop there. And there were like again computer science had two options: either to go for development or to go to UI UX. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do UI UX. Then I went to C. I delve into C, like how to make that remote control car. And I learned how that programming works, how everything is working. Then C. Then I went to Java after C, learning Java. After learning C, I went to Java. Then I learned Python in university, so like C, and then I built that remote control car I wanted to do. And that sparked
Okay.
my interest. Okay, that this is trying to solve a problem, and I like solving problems. Like I always used to be that curious kid in the class, like why is this like that? So
Okay.
I always tried to find answers, and like that went me to engineering. So in engineering as well, I didn't touch Python till my second year, and then this AI boom was there and all that. And like after that I learned Python. Like I never learned Python till the second year of my
Okay.
college. But like Python learning is, let's keep it side. Like but I did in Java as well. I have built neural networks in Java, like that, not in Python, in Java. Like I had wrote it from scratch, and like I was trying to solve some problems, and that was like, okay, I have to be an engineer to make a difference. But otherwise, doctors also make a difference, but I don't want to be a doctor.
Your journey sounds very inspiring because the way like you decided all these things in your fifth standard. So such scenarios prove that why Gujaratis are ahead of time. So such thing justify the things, right? Okay, so let's move ahead with your further journey into the AI and technology. So, like, what
Yep.
inspired you to deep dive into the field of generative AI and the large language model or LLMs?
So this goes back to 2020, like when I was going for my bachelor's. So I went to PP1. I had like three, four good options in Surat because obviously that was Corona. No one wants to
Right.
go out of their home cities. Everyone was their life at stake and all that. So I decided that I'll do my bachelor's from here. And if required, if I want to do master's, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't. And then I went to PPSwani and I had like I was always willing to go for a private institute instead of a government institute. Reason being like I want exposure. I like to try new things and I don't think that is possible currently in the government colleges
Mhm.
because you are strapped on syllabus, strapped on old technology, strapped on mathematics, strapped on subjects and projects. I'm like, no,
Okay.
I'll go to a private university. I went to PPSwani University and I was like, I had three options: CS, IT, and AI. And yeah, I am the first graduate of PP Samani University in AIML. Like we are the first batch from that college.
Okay.
CSIT was 2019, 18, and this was 2020. So I went there and I was like, I had to decide something from CSIT or AIML. Then I came back home. I had 2 days to decide before admission process ended. And I was like, CS and IT are generalized field. Anyone can do it. Why not something which is always going to be a specialized field?
Hmm.
Like something different from this remote making and all that. So like that was the reason I took AI. And I also like I took the conditional admission that if I don't like AI after 3 semester, I'll switch to CS or IT. But after 3 semesters, I'm like, no, this is good. Let's do this. And that's how I went into AI. I tried a lot of things in AI. Like I have tried machine learning, I had like deep learning, I tried generative AI, I have like cloud computing. I also tried mobile application development, web development. I tried Flutter development as well. Alongside this, I also had a chance to work with an NGO
Okay.
that looks after people. I tried all of many different things in technology. I have been trying software, hardware, all kinds of engineering I have tried. And then I decided, okay, something machine learning is trying to solve and it will solve. Basically, we are
Mhm.
trying to solve a bigger problems with machine learning and not software development. So I chose machine learning. Then in machine learning, I tried ML, deep learning. And then by the time I was graduating, OpenAI launched ChatGPT. And in 2017 as well, there was a paper from Google named as Attention is All You Need that was focusing on transformers.
Mhm.
So I was always interested on small language models. Like I always took now machine learning also have different parts like language, vision, all that. So I was always keen in natural language processing. Like if I want to do something, I'll do this, I'll try this. It always ended up to one field that was NLP. So I went to NLP, I learned deep learning, and then I learned transformers, and then ChatGPT and all this came. And after ChatGPT, people I am I saw that there was a trend decline in machine learning, like traditional machine learning. Everyone is trying to integrate those large language model because
Mhm.
instead of training a model, deploying a model and all that, you just deploy a single API and then that gives you an answer, a better
Okay.
answer. You don't need the data set. You don't need six engineers collecting data, seven engineers filtering it, three engineers building a model, two engineers testing it, and one engineer deployment. No, now it's an API call. So that's how I went to Gen AI. I tried solving problems, and then I found out okay, something we have to make with Gen AI now. Then I went to Gen AI, and now I am working in Gen AI for almost 2 years. Yes, 2 years now.
Okay. All right. So, like, so far your experience, like, you have also worked with a wide range of tools and frameworks like
Yep.
TensorFlow, PyTorch, Apache Airflow, and
Yeah.
many more. So, among
Yep.
these tools and frameworks, like, which framework is your favorite, and what is those qualities that makes that tool your favorite?
So, like, see, now I have two answers. One, if I
Mm-hmm.
want to deploy something on cloud, like I want like that, if I don't see that code for 100 years, it should work, then I'll go with
Okay.
TensorFlow. like the code that is written in TensorFlow and deployed with TensorFlow on Tensor Processing Unit, that never breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I have one code which is almost 4 years old. I install the same Python version, I install everything, and it works.
Okay.
When it comes to research and development, I prefer PyTorch because it is faster to implement. There, it
Mm-hmm.
is like you make something within like next 2 or 3 hours, and it is good to go. So
Okay.
in deploy, if I am researching something, I experiment with PyTorch. If I want to deploy something, I convert that same code in TensorFlow. Now I am like biased towards TensorFlow now. So now what I do nowadays, I don't even install PyTorch. I go with TensorFlow only. I bought a big machine. Like I have one big machine which has a bigger GPU, and like CUDA gives a lot of problem with PyTorch. So like I now prefer TensorFlow. I have the bigger machine. I always use TensorFlow. It's easier to go with it, and I can deploy it anywhere. It's very easy. So like I like TensorFlow more than anything else for deep learning or deploying. TensorFlow also supports on device, like all the machine, all the small models you want. If you want to deploy it on mobile and all that, TensorFlow also supports it. So that's why I prefer TensorFlow over anything.
Okay. So in short, we can say that every tool has their own capability, but we have to decide as per the
Yes.
requirement of the project.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay. All right. So as we are talking about the research work, so let's talk a bit
Hmm.
about your journey with Symbiosis Center for Applied AI.
Applied AI.
So like
Yeah.
you focus on mainly on the generative AI and NLP. So can you share some of the
Yes.
exciting breakthroughs or the challenges you have encountered in your research?
Yep. So Sky goes to Symbiosis Center for Applied AI, short form Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Sky goes to my third year of bachelor's. Like I was a research intern in third year there. Like I am since third year now. My master's 1 year is complete. Almost 2.5 or 3 years. I am still working with Symbiosis,
Mm-hmm.
and like what we do is we try to research something. Like for the first paper I published with Symbiosis, there was one thing that I found interesting in generative AI. There is no measure. Like there was no measure which was able to, like we can evaluate large language models
Mm-hmm.
without the ground truth. Ground truth
Okay.
is something you have question and you have answer. But if you want to evaluate something which you don't have a ground truth of, then
Okay.
how will you do that? So but that was one problem I was trying to work on. And what I was trying to do that if I ask something, what is that one metric I can keep to assume that it may be right or it may be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And also I want to, like, this was one problem statement. Another one, now if you give anything to LLM, and if you now LLM models have memory, small memory, 500 MB memory. So now they are able to give you answers according to your knowledge level, but at that time it was not there. So what is that metric if you try to, like, if you don't give your level and it can answer in your knowledge level, what is that? So I was trying to solve these two problems, and then I came across various metrics, out of which I considered two: Flesch-Kinsiat score and another one is Smog score. So these two
Okay.
scores are used in United States for to give a score to a textbook, like how, on what level this textbook is easily able to understand. So that score
Okay.
determines if a college student can learn, or a high school can learn, or a kid can learn. That score used to define it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the experiment I did, that if I provide my knowledge level, if I provide my question, if I provide my context, so is the large language model at that moment, at that time, trying to follow a trend that if the knowledge is more, then the score should increase. If that knowledge is high, that score should increase, and if knowledge is low, then score should decrease. And surprisingly, it was working, and that was one breakthrough I found. Second, currently that I am working on is deep fakes and all. They have become a huge problems in generative AI now. Like fake, you cannot identify fake currently. So
Mm-hmm.
the models are biased, like some have racial biases, some have gender biases. So how will you measure them? So I'm working on that problem statement currently.
Okay. So, like with your journey and the way you deal with the challenges, I think it is clear to all those folks like who just started with their career, so they can learn that everyone has to deal with such kind of scenarios and obstacle.
Yep.
but it's the
Yeah.
mentality that helps us to grow and learn the new things.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's talk bit about your work with vector databases and retrieval augmented generation on LLMs. So could you please explain like what this involves and the practical applications mainly regarding these two things?
So RAGs means like all of the LLMs you see now have a knowledge cutoff. Like there is a training to a certain amount of data date. Like if you go for
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI, they have like 2023 some dates and 2024 some dates.
Okay.
Google models have some dates. Anthropic models will have some dates. So if you ask a question that is not in their knowledge level or some documents, let's suppose it's your company's confidential document, it I am
Mm-hmm.
bloody sure it won't be in that training data. So how will you question a system, how will you question a model which don't have answer to those data without it hallucinating? That is achieved by RAG. So
Mm-hmm.
like
Okay.
RAG gives vector databases, RAG, they give the power to large language models. We give the relevant context from the database to LLM, and then LLM gives an answer. So
Okay.
that's how that RAG helps in not hallucinating of an LLM. It reduces hallucination. It does not remove it completely, but it tries to reduce
Okay.
it.
Okay, so like Jack, could you please like tell a bit more about like just demystify the concepts like RAG or for the audience? Like although like you have explained what is RAG and all the things,
Hmm.
but just for those, let's say if someone is there who are not aware of anything regarding the RAG, so in a
Yep, yep.
very simpler or layman terms, like how we can explain the RAG.
Okay, so RAG, retrieval augmented generation, they have three major components. One is
Mm-hmm.
question,
Okay.
second one is a database, and third is an LLM. So these
Okay.
are three high level components. So what we do is whatever question we ask, we don't send directly to a model. A
Okay.
person, let's suppose a model is a person who answers. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't send it to a person, we send it to a database. Now let's suppose database is a pile of files which has knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
let's suppose it is a knowledge base. So instead of sending it directly to a model, we send it to a knowledge base. Now we
Okay.
have databases like SQL databases, non-SQL databases. Now this is a vector database. What vector database is? It stores the relevant context into form of vectors. Now we all
Mm-hmm.
know machine doesn't understands ABCD, it understands numbers. So those words are converted into embeddings. So they are embeddings are in vector forms. They
Mm-hmm.
range from they range from -1 to 1 usually, but that totally depends on embeddings. They have
Okay.
different dimensions. There is a general trend that higher the number of dimensions, the more accurate the embedding is, but that is not entirely true. It depends again how much knowledge it is trained on. And then those dimensions, then those vectors, and then we fetch some vectors. We find a cosine similarity between a query and a vector.
Mm-hmm.
The query is converted into the same embedding in which we have stored into database. We
Okay.
embed them and we run a series of knowledge base and we find a cosine similarity. The highest similarity, we fetch the documents and then we send it to LLM that like we have this question, this is the context, now answer the question. And now that LLM answers not from its knowledge but the context that it has retrieved.
Okay.
The RAG has retrieved, and then that LLM answers us the question.
Okay, so this is how the flow goes from one portion to
This is how
another.
the high level flow is.
Okay, all right. So let's talk bit about one of your project that you did, I think, in your college time or maybe in your early academic time.
Yep.
So you have worked upon the emotion classification system based on
Hmm.
Ekman's emotion model. So, like,
Yeah.
how does it integrate the psychological and AI into your application, and what are its potential application to use this model?
Yep. So this was my second year project or first year end project, I guess. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
So at that time, cryptocurrency was in boom. So if you
Mm-hmm.
see the Twitter was entirely with like Bitcoins, Ethereum and whatnot, many coins, Shiba Inu and all that. Like there were many coins. And if you see like the comments with respect to context may
Mm-hmm.
meaning different. Like So there are two terms that I learned: bullish and bearish. Bullish is like price is increasing, bearish means price is decreasing.
Correct.
So if bullish is term, so let's suppose if I have long means I have predicted that this price will be of a certain coin and I have longed it, and
Mm-hmm.
someone has shorted it. Shorted means like that this particular coin will reach to this price within this particular moments. Like they have tried and they have leveraged it some amount like 7x, 10x, 30x. Like 7x means like if you have spent $10 and you leverage it to 7 times, so you buy $70 worth of that particular currency and you
Mm-hmm.
bet that it's basically a betting if it is going to increase or decrease.
Okay.
And if it is a bullish, so it is increasing, and if it is bearish, if it is decreasing, and I betted that it is going to increase and the trend is bullish. Now there are two comments, two different comments from two different users. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god, question mark. The prices are incredible.
Okay.
Right. Now this may mean that it is going it may going up or down. We can't understand.
Right.
So now this on this particular format in at this particular point, a model might not be able to give what is the sentiment of that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, oh my God, question mark and oh my God, exclamation will have different meanings,
Correct.
right?
Right.
The prices are incredible. And now then so if I am bullish and if I kept an emoji of like, yes, it is going so, that will change the entire sentence. So
Mm-hmm.
that is positive and negative. So I considered those and then I classified into positive, negative, neutral. Now, positive, negative, neutral was standard sentiment analysis, and I was like, this is not making sense. I have to do something more. And there was my guide. She is now in Canada, Jasleen Kaur. She told me try Ekman's classification model on that. I'm like, what good will it do? Like, first question, engineer question, what will it
Yeah.
do? So it told me. So she told me like your sentence may have positive, negative, neutral. But if you see in positive, there are six emotion. In negative as well, there will be a six emotion. You can further classify it. And if you want to analyze certain number of psychological trend or
Mm-hmm.
certain number of psychological people, you can identify it from it. Now that this goes to again a medical domain after it. And I was like, okay, let's see an anger. So I tried all the negative anger things and this was my curiosity. I went to Twitter, I searched their user IDs, and I was like, okay, like I searched the hashtags and anger emotions, and I was like, okay. So I saw 6 or 7 that after 6 or 7 days, they stopped posting the about anything about crypto. Probably they had a very big loss.
Okay.
So that's how that is the problem I was trying to solve. But again, after the LLM comes, that project is now of no use. But I did
All right. Okay. Okay, so let's talk bit about your research work because in
that.
one of your research papers you have explored the
Yep.
topics like EDA for business decisions, right?
hmm
So what motivated these kind of studies and what insight can a practitioner take away from these kind of studies or the research papers?
So, exploratory data analysis. So, this was, I guess, in third year. I don't remember third year something, third year or fourth year, one of the years.
Okay.
So, so all the business makes decision based on what they are doing, the numbers.
Right.
So, at high stakes, you visualize those. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is something like this is the price, this is the profit, this is the price, this is the profit, this is the discount we kept, and this price got increased. This all helps at high level, at very high levels, that what are the stakes and what should we do next. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time, Power BI and all were there, and also people used to do exploratory data analysis with Python. So they used to code what is going to be like what they wanted to do. And there are some libraries, SweetVs and like Shap and all that, which were which they, if you just give the data set to them, they'll give you the visualizations. You don't need to keep your heads what you want to do. And they have very good HTML structure. So if you click what you want versus what you want, they'll give you graph directly.
Okay.
So instead of doing traditional like import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, if you just import pandas profiling as PP and you just give it a data set, it used to give you visualizations. I compared those libraries, like which are the best for what use case and how they are differing. and then we just published it. Like it was solving a bigger problem that there you don't need an engineer to basically visualize. You can just
Okay.
ask any Python engineer to do that.
Okay. All right. So moving ahead, firstly, I would like to ask about the key influential person in your life, because as we all can see, like you have trained 3,000 plus students in the field of technology, right? But we wanted to know about your mentors, like the person like who have helped you in your journey. They could be your mentors, your family members, in fact, the colleagues. So could you please take some of the name with their qualities that you have inherited?
Yep. So first goes to my father, obviously, Chetan
Yeah.
Thakkar. He was the guy who never told me no to try new things. He was like, if you want to do that, do it. If you want to do this, do it. If you want to try that, do it. If I was on wrong path, he always used to say, "Galat ja rahe ho."
Okay.
He used to say, like, you are at wrong path, come back. But he never stopped me from trying new things. I wanted to go out of India, and then I studied for IELTS, I did exams and all of that. And out of nowhere, that Corona came and I dropped my plan. And I did this at very last moment, like 6 months before my graduation, 6 months before my 12th. And he
Mm-hmm.
always used to say, try karne mein kya cha raha hai?" He always say, max to max you'll fail. He used to say, max to max you'll fail. Worst cannot happen. But if
Correct.
you won't start it, you'll regret it forever.
Correct.
So, so he is the first guy. Second was Jasleen Kaur. She's now in Canada. She
Mm-hmm.
was the reason she was the reason I explored deep learning. Otherwise, I was in machine learning till what, fourth year, like many of my classmates. But she told me, try deep learning, you'll get better accuracy. I tried. I failed. She again told me, like, go to this direction.
Okay.
Then I came to Symbiosis. There is one doctor here, doctorate Shilpa Geete. She's still in touch. We are still working together. She also gave me a lot of time before I confirm my problem statement. I found my problem statement after 7 months of my starting the research.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, I didn't started the research exactly, but I was trying to find a problem statement which might make a difference. So she gave me plenty of time to explore. And now my mother, like, I want to go to IIT or MIT for my PhD,
Yeah.
and she is like, if you want to do it, but like don't forget your. Like she never also stopped me to explore. There are
Okay.
some teachers, there are some mentors in community as well, like Ashutosh, Anubhav Singh. These guys also like helped me a lot in my journey of becoming GD, becoming a person who I am currently. Like I educate people, I help people. These all are the guys who helped me to achieve this.
Okay. All right. So, like, even though, like, Jay, we have many things that we can discuss here, but just because of the limitation of time, I would like
Yeah.
to ask my last question. Like, we all know you are consistently contributing as a GDE. So, is there any particular project or something that you are planning to deploy in the upcoming months as a GDE?
Not yet, but I am like I haven't given a thought of it, but something I'm trying to do for research community now.
Okay.
Like if you see, we engineers or the researchers are the people who makes difference at
Correct.
the end of the day in technology. Like
Right.
all of the engineers, all of the machine learning engineers are mostly trying to apply things which a research scientist found.
Correct.
And me being a researcher, I have found like plenty of problems which can be solved by AI. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you don't get what you want to do, you just simply ask ChatGPT and it gives you an answer, all that. So I'm trying to like find a good problem statement, which I am facing plenty, but that might not be faced at high level. Like I
Okay.
am just a beginner at 2 years now. People are doing research for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. Research community is very big and it's very experienced. So like if I'm finding one problem statement I was looking at. If I give a question and let's suppose a Gen AI model tries to find a relevant research paper and just generates me a summary of what it is doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do it. I was just looking for it, and then I came across a Stanford Storm AI, STORM.ai, that
Okay.
solves that problem. So now if you just ask a query, it will give you research, it will answer itself, it will work with it, and it will give you a summary. So like that, similarly, if you go to Google Scholar, you get a plenty of papers. So like I'm just finding a
Right.
problem statement. If I get a good one, I'll work on it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Jay, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing your expertise with us. And we wish you a very good success in your future work and your research work. So thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.